Welcome back to the Football Terrace. Lots of news circulating this morning that we want to delve into with you. We know by the middle of the afternoon, everybody's going to be very, very busy indeed, building up to the gargantuan game tonight between England and the Ukraine at the Euros. And of course, the Czech Republic versus the Danes as well. But good morning to all of you. Hope you are well as ever. Good morning, Jasper. Hope you're having a wonderful start to your day. I'm not sure if Twisted Bubba's here. He's already on the in the Legends and Superfan group chat this morning. He's already on the tequila, and it was 8 o'clock in the morning. So I'm not sure if he's going to be in many of the streams today, but I hope you're good if you're in here as well. Andrew says Ben White will be a mistake. Sorry, a massive. Sorry, my brain had a fart there. It says Ben White will be a massive improvement in our defense with the way he progresses the ball forward. It's a great segue into this news this morning. I had a conversation very late last night with a friend of the show, journalist that's connected to the Terrace, about the Ben White situation. And he informed me that everything is agreed between the football clubs now in terms of the transfer fee. There are a few small legalities over bonuses to be resolved, but there's no pressure. There's no rush on this. The announcement is going to be made after England's exit or victory in Euro 2020. Ben White wants to join. There was a little bit of drama over the course of the past couple of days with Everton supposedly showing an interest, of course, themselves just having landed their new manager, Rafa Benitez. There's meant to be a bit of an interest in there from Everton, but it doesn't appear to have changed the opinion of Ben White. Ben White wants to join Arsenal. He has informed his England teammates almost consistently throughout the camp that he wants to join Arsenal. He feels that this deal is going to happen, that he's confident that this deal is going to go through, and it's all but complete. Of course, the only thing delaying it now is essentially Euro 2020. Arsenal want to get a medical done. Arsenal want to get a release video done. It's going to be a big £50 million signing for them. But both Brighton and Arsenal are very, very comfortable with where things sit. The overall fee of £50 million is agreed on. The structure is pretty much where it needs to be. There's just a few legalities around add-ons, but you are talking very small details and not really holding the deal up. If the Euros wasn't on, they'd push through that stuff within a couple of days, but they don't need to because England is still in the tournament. It's anticipated that England will be in this tournament beyond today, with all due respect to the Ukraine, and this deal will be at some point in the next week and a half to 2 weeks announced formally. But Ben White, as it stands right now, looks set to become an Arsenal player next season. And we posed the poll in the live chat functionality today because I want to gauge people's opinions. Will Ben White be a success at Arsenal at £50 million? And that's a perceived success because £50 million changes how people look at you as a football player. I'm pretty sure if Harry Maguire cost Manchester United £50 million, everybody would be raving about him. The £80 million fee somewhat changed that. Do you think £50 million represents good value? And are Arsenal going to get a good return out of that one? I want your thoughts and I want your feelings on that deal this morning. Let's keep going through this information. Morning over there to C Dots, who's watching on our Twitch account. Be Kind says Ben White will do well at Arsenal, but as a team, they will fail and sack the manager as well. Could be true. In terms of sticking with Arsenal, we will give you the Haaland update a little bit later on as well. It does now appear also that William Saliba will be out of the door. And I don't know why yesterday, but it triggered me. It made me really angry seeing that news. I think it was David Ornstein that put that news out that he could be on his way to Marseille. I've read another report in a newspaper that there could be, I have to go back and read the report again, to be fair, but it said that either an obligation to buy or maybe it said option to buy William Saliba. It's long since been a belief of mine there's something wrong with Saliba. And I'm not talking about attitude, application, or ability. Just something wrong with his time at Arsenal. His very short time at Arsenal. I've always felt that Mikel Arteta didn't fancy him. In fact, I felt like Arsenal didn't fancy him once he arrived as a football club. Almost, it gives me David Nugent vibes. If any of you have ever done your research on the David Nugent deal, he joins Portsmouth under... David Nugent had done very, very well in the Championship for a number of years. I think he'd had an England call up and played a game, actually scored in his debut, a tap-in on the line. But there was a lot of talk about this kid maybe being Premier League quality. And he joined Portsmouth under Harry Redknapp. And within the same summer of joining, Harry Redknapp and Portsmouth were offering him up as a part exchange for other deals. So clearly they'd seen something in training which made them believe this guy isn't of that standard. And I think ultimately they were proved right. He was never Prem quality, David Nugent. Maybe we've seen something similar here with Arsenal where he's just turned up and people have gone, it's a lot of hype. He just isn't the player that we need at Arsenal Football Club because he was loaned out last year. Reports that I read said that he did well. And as soon as those Ben White links came in, this is what triggered me. This is what really sent me over the edge. And I felt here for Arsenal fans. And I genuinely mean this, right? I felt sorry for Arsenal fans on this. So bear with me here. Because all I kept on seeing from big Arsenal Twitter accounts was absolutely no way Ben White is detrimental to Saliba. Absolutely no way is Saliba going to go out on loan or be sold. He's part of the plans, 100%. Trust me, trust me, trust me, trust me. And I just thought to myself, why are you pushing out false facts, false truths for likes over being realistic? Over being realistic. The vast majority of players who are loaned out by their parent clubs never make it. Never make it at all. The vast majority. I've never done the research, so I don't have a statistical fact, but I'm going to guess it's no more than 10% that actually go out on loan, make it. And just sit there for a minute and think about your club and how many of your young players get loaned out, how many make it in your first team as regulars. And I'm talking not for a season or two, I'm talking make it 5 years plus, playing regularly, starting regularly in your team. Look at Chelsea. You've got Mason Mount and you've got Reece James that have moved into that space. Who else in recent years? Look at Manchester, like loaned out, I'm talking. Look at Man United. Who's been loaned out as a kid that's actually gone on to do well? Very few, right? So the fact that should just be a key point. So I was really annoyed last night at seeing that. I was really frustrated because I felt like Arsenal fans had been lied to by trusted accounts, and it really frustrated the living daylights out of me. Really frustrated me. Arjan here says, Fabrizio says Chelsea will 100% sign a striker. Terry, do you know anything other than Haaland alternatives? I was going to move on to the Haaland news as well. Of course, I saw the updates from Fabrizio last night, and to be honest, we didn't really learn anything new. It's no different to what we've been telling you on the terrace, what Peter O'Rourke, what Christoph Terreur has told you, and of course, Dean Jones. Chelsea want a striker. Still, Chelsea have looked at alternatives. Lukaku is an alternative. Harry Kane is still an alternative. Haaland is the dream guy. I've long since believed they'll sign a striker irrespective of landing one of those three. But if they don't sign one of those main targets, I believe it will be a stopgap. It will be Chelsea's version of Man United's Cavani deal. Someone that can come in and plug a gap for a short period of time. It's why when you were linked to Andre Silva's, Martinez's, even the likes of Isak, I didn't really believe those links because they are more of a medium to long-term investment that a club makes in a young player. That potential is key. Of course, Chelsea are going to try and sign a striker and a prolific goal scorer this year. It's the one part missing from their team. I think it's more important to them than a midfielder. I think it's more important to them than a new centre-back or cover in any position. You are stacked and deep everywhere, barring prolific goal scorers. And to win the Premier League, you need more strikers that score goals. So there was nothing that Fabrizio said last night that isn't already out there, that isn't already news, that we don't all already know about. Like, legitimately, we all know about this already. So it wasn't really a shock to me to hear that. Same as the Declan Rice news. I've heard a lot of sort of Chelsea accounts in the last few days talk about breaking news. Chelsea are going to bid 50, 60 million for Rice. We know this. We know they want Rice. We know that West Ham are asking for 100 million. So what the clubs do, they put in a low ball offer to test the response from both player and club. Did they get the feeling or the emotional response from West Ham that, an extra 10 million, we could get him here? Does it make Declan Rice's situation change? Because now it's a real offer. The prospect of him leaving isn't just talk. So I don't know. It just frustrates me sometimes when I see these stories and I'm like, what's new about it? There's nothing new. It's like the Raphael Varane situation. I started giving an update on Raphael Varane. There is now no new news on Raphael Varane. Raphael Varane's been offered a £400,000 a week contract by Man United. Not all outright. There's a base of around 300,000. It will rise to 400. Man United have informed intermediaries that they're willing to offer £50 million to Real Madrid for the player. Real Madrid is seemingly looking like they're happy to accept it. Raphael Varane is just now away on holiday thinking about what he wants to do. That's what there is still the possibility that he stays at Real Madrid. There's still the possibility that he changes his mind. But there is no new news now. There is nothing new at this moment in time. He's away thinking about the offers. Man United have done all their work. United are still working on potential other deals in case he decides not to come, because he's quite literally said, I'm going to go away and think about what I want now after receiving all the offers. That's what's going on there. Let's have a little look here. Mark here with the super chat says, Arsenal season ticket holder, and I'm actually pleased. Saka, Emil Smith-Rowe, Martinelli, Tierney, Balogun, White, Lokonga, Tavares, and many more hungry youngsters. Give us 2 or 3 years. I feel we are on the right track. I mean, when you start going through that plethora of talent there, Mark, it's quality. There are serious quality players in there. There's no doubt about it at all for Arsenal. So some serious quality in there. And I think there's some very good players as well. Very good players in there. A comment here says it's probably Lukaku. Listen, Chelsea are looking at Lukaku. And again, this has also been something that's stated by many journalists. No one's bought into this idea that he won't leave Inter. Nobody sits there and thinks, it's a foregone conclusion. Comment here says Saliba has to remain patient and wait for Arteta to be sacked, is what Vibes FC has got to say. A comment here from Daniel says, hi, mate, top show. Arsenal need to buy 3 players across the park that have won major honours. I think, Daniel, that they've tried to do that. I do think that is something that Arsenal have tried to do. They are looking at players that have won trophies. You know, they tried to sign Onana, who's obviously been successful to a degree with Ajax. But, of course, other clubs have come in for him of not higher pedigree in history, but of course better current situations in terms of Champions League football. So Maddison, he has won something. He won an FA Cup. Mahrez, you've inquired about. Sterling, you've inquired about. But of course, it's attracting those players without Champions League football. That's a difficult bit. Grant here says, how solid will United be if United sign Varane and a quality CDM and not an overpriced one? Pogba signs a new deal. United will have stars and future stars to feed off them. Look, if a quality CDM comes in, so if we sign Varane, Ruben Neves, and of course Sancho's done, as long as Paul Pogba doesn't leave, United are very strong. Very strong indeed. Without a new CDM, I think Man United will still be strong with Varane coming in. So I'm quietly confident about the quality of Man United's squad going into next season. There was another rumor put out actually earlier on today, but that I heard about. You know, United are still looking at fullback cover as well. There is the lad from, I want to say it's Benfica, but I could be Sporting Lisbon. Is it Nuno Mendes? I could get his name. I could have butchered. I might have absolutely butchered his name there. I think it's Nuno Mendes, a young lad, 19-year-old. I've heard that there's going to be. I've read a number of times again in the last couple of months that there's been United have looked at him, they've monitored him, they've focused on him as an example. I did speak to a journalist about that a few days ago. One we didn't speak about on camera, but it's a player that United look at and like, but maybe didn't want to buy him now. But if other clubs suddenly started coming in to sign him, it may force Manchester United's hands, into moving a little bit quicker in relation to that. Quite a lot of you in the comment section are asking me, do I think Ben White will be successful at Arsenal? Yes. I think Ben White, I think he's a very talented player. I think he is a very underrated player. And I'm not too sure why there's so much stick surrounding him. £50 million is a lot of money, but it's the going rate for young, talented, potential defenders in the league. Look how much fullbacks have been sold for in the last 2 or 3 years. Harry Maguire, yes, was a couple years older when he went to Manchester United, but it cost £80 million. You know, the bar was raised by Liverpool and by Manchester City when they started paying the prices they did for John Stones's, for Virgil van Dijk's, and for the fullbacks at City. Every now and then you pick up an absolute superstar bargain in an Andy Robertson. And nobody has been as brilliant as a centre back and as brilliant a signing as Virgil van Dijk. Of course, you know, the best centre back in the world, more than worth the money that was paid for him. But the benchmark is set. And if you're trying to sign a player, you clearly rate them. And if you're trying to sign a player that a club doesn't want to sell that they rate, the premium goes up. Any commodity, anything you're selling in life that you don't want to sell. So if you sell service, you're offering the service, so you set a price for it. But if you come to try and buy something from me that I don't want to sell, you're paying me above it. My YouTube channel has probably got a valuation in the market. I don't know what it is, but it's probably got a valuation. I don't want to sell it though. Let's say it's worth £500,000. I'm just throwing that figure out there. If you wanted to buy it off me, I'm asking for 1.1, 1.2, 1.3 million. I don't want to sell it. Pay me that and it's yours. And then it's down to the buyer whether they want to spend on it. So, yeah, look, I think Ben White's going to be an excellent signing for Arsenal Football Club. I've got no doubts about that at all in my mind. I think he's going to be excellent. Do me a big favor, please, and smash that like button this morning. Let's get this video past 500 likes, please. Very important to support YouTubers in that way. We have another super chat that's come through here that we're going to go to. Before that, Felix, one of our members, they're actually talking to Mark, who put the super chat in. I'm going to go bold, is what it says here. Terry, what's the news on Haaland? I'll give the update on Haaland again. It's not imminent. It isn't close to happening. But Chelsea want to sign a striker. Haaland would like to join Chelsea. Roman loves Haaland. He's the #1 priority. A bid will go in later on this summer to test the water. Dortmund are still saying they will not sell. Dortmund are still saying that they're not going to let this deal happen. But we will see. Chelsea will sign, though. It's highly likely they'll sign a striker of sorts this summer. Chelsea's squad is pretty young. I think so. I haven't actually looked at the average age. Here, Nuno Mendes, Sporting Lisbon. Yeah, I thought so. Yes, I read something about that the other day. Mark here says, Liverpool, Chelsea, City, all aging. Right. That's why someone says, yeah, all aging squads, all now 28 plus. Arsenal were building now. Them clubs will need a real rebuild again. United also a decent blend. More than half of City and Liverpool squads are 29 plus. Do you know what? I haven't actually looked into this. Let's have a little look, right? Premier League average age. There's probably a website that has a chart of all this on. And there we go. Found it here. So let's look at the average age of the squads here. So, no, right, that's weird. Doesn't show it. It doesn't have the average age, which I find very, very strange indeed. Okay, so Man United's 24.7, Arsenal's 25.1, Chelsea's 25.3. But you are right, in Liverpool and City is older. Both of them are at 26.6 and 26.7 in terms of age. So, yeah, Chelsea's very, very young on average. Remember, Chelsea is going to dramatically change if Giroud leaves, to get what I mean. Chelsea's is remember as well, like Chelsea's official squad last season also had Petr Cech as part of it. So Chelsea's is actually quite young. If you look at I think what's more important, the average age is always a little bit disingenuous. I'd be more interested in seeing the medium age of the squad. But yeah, mid-20s. United, I didn't realize United had the youngest average age squad, though. That's interesting indeed. Let's have a look at some more of these comments. We're going to share the lines now for you to come on and have your say as well. Any Gooners that want to have their say about Ben White, any Chelsea fans that want to speak about Haaland, make sure you phone up or forever hold your peace. Please make sure that like button is being hit and that you subscribe to the Football Terrace as well. Very, very important to us that we get that done on the Terrace. And subscribing is key. I want to know your thoughts and your feelings on this. How much do I rate Varane? Like, I rate him highly. I think he's a very, very talented and very, very good centre-back, world-class centre-back. There's no doubt about it. He's colossal. I honestly feel, and I mean this, people have to be worried. People have to be genuinely worried about the quality of Man United next season. And I know some will say, still got that Ollie tax. Cool, keep the Ollie tax. Ollie ain't going to be here forever. We're building a squad for the future. I'm very, very, very excited about it indeed. There's no doubt about it. 50 million, football is gone. See, I don't know if you can say football's gone. Do you know why I say that? I need to do this now. I've held off from doing this for a long, long time. I've got to do this. Trevor Francis transfer fee, right? I need to get this in. So it was on the 9th of Feb, 1979. England striker Trevor Francis joined Nottingham Forest from Birmingham City for a deal worth over £1 million. It was a British transfer record at the time. I want to see what the headline said. I've never done this, right? I want to see this. I want to see what was said about these things. And I'm just going to go to images and see if there's any major images that say these sort of things here. I need to do more research on this, but I'll get the I'll get the actual headlines for you at another time, right? But the reason that I say that, right, is I remember speaking to my dad about this years ago when I think I was moaning about how much money Chelsea spent on a player, and my dad told me just to pipe down. I was like, "Why, Dad?" He went, people have been saying that football's dead. He went since 1979 when £1 million was spent on a player, and every 2 or 3 years, the envelope gets pushed, the needle gets pushed, the levels change. And we say the same things again. Football's gone, football's dead, football's over. It's 2021 and it's never been as strong. It's never been as strong. So, and I said this before about Maguire, and I stand by it. I stand by it. I got laughed at by the social media football world when I said in 4 or 5 years' time, we are going to look at what was spent on Maguire and it's going to seem a bargain. How will it be a bargain? Because prices will rise. What nobody anticipated is a 2-year decline in valuation of players because of the pandemic. No one saw that coming. Well, Bill Gates kind of did, but like normal people like me didn't. Right? We didn't anticipate this. So we're kind of 2 years behind that belief that I had because of a global pandemic. But we eventually will get to a point where average defenders are being sold for 30, 40 million pounds. So you'll then look back. There'll come a point. It's like, and do you know how I know this? Because we now look at £1 million for one of the best strikers in England as being ridiculously cheap. If you were to say right now £27 million for one of the best England football players of all time, one of the best Premier League strikers of all time, you'd go, that's great value. That's what Wayne Rooney cost. If I said you could sign a defender now of Rio Ferdinand's quality for 28, 29, 30 million pounds, you'd say it's cheap. Value changes. So trust me, football isn't dead. Football's just getting started with these mega money deals. And when the streaming companies start buying the TV rights away from the Skies of this world and start paying, instead of it being sort of a 5-6 billion pound deal, we start moving into 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 billion pound deals for these TV rights over a 2 or 3 year period. And clubs suddenly go from getting 150 to 200, 300, 400 million pound a year in their coffers just for TV deals. When there will be a version of the Super League that started as well, by the way, there'll be a change in something somewhere at some point. There'll be even more money. Look how much money the banks are willing to throw at the Super League. It's not gone. It's just worth a lot more. We want to speak about this Arsenal deal this morning. First on the show with me today, my guy Ramzy's here. I'm just going to get the right background. There it is. Ramzy, welcome back to the terrace, mate. I hope you're well.
Yeah, what's happening?
Ben White, 50 mil. Give me your thoughts, mate.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of negativity around Ben White, surrounding Ben White and the transfer, and it's probably linked in to do with the Saliba news as well. Saliba going to Marseille, and I think you got to take them as two different scenarios. You got to take, like, Ben White is a player who's going to be at Arsenal for a long time, even past Arteta. If Arteta leaves, Ben White's not necessarily going to leave next year. You know what I mean? He's gonna be around for a good long while, and it's an investment for the future. Now, it's a potential that may not work. It could be a potential player that, he's not at the heights of the best players in the league right now. So it's a gamble. You're gambling that he does reach the potential that he's got, but there's no guarantees that he will. The thing with Saliba, and something I like, I think Arsenal fans got to realise, Saliba wasn't Arteta's signing. Saliba was brought in by Emery, and Arteta came in a few months afterwards. So there was no guarantee that Arteta even wants Saliba as his centre back, and the way he plays. It's not saying that he's not a good defender, but just because someone else saw something in him, like Emery or whoever was at the time, whether it was Sanlehi or whoever it was that brought him in, doesn't mean that everyone's going to see the same. And so sometimes you do end up losing out on certain players because the manager prefers a different type of way of playing. Now, I'd probably say Saliba's a good centre back, and he will be good, like going forward. It's just whether he's got a manager that believes in him, and maybe, like, there's a chance he comes back again next year and gets into the team. But as it stands right now, he's not the player that Arteta wants. Arteta clearly wants a different way of playing, and sometimes as fans we just got to accept that that's the way it is, and sometimes you will lose out on players. Saliba may become nothing, and no one may not even speak about him in the next sort of 5 to 10 years, and maybe Ben White is, but no one will go back and say, oh, Arsenal did a wonder by bringing in Ben White and letting Saliba go. Do you know what I mean? So it's like, yeah, sometimes you just got to trust the way it goes. Personally, I would have sort of loved to see maybe Holding moved on and Saliba be like the backup, but manager's choice at the end of the day. Like, and I'm quite happy with Ben White coming in. I actually am. I think he'll be good for us.
Yeah, I think Ben White's a good signing, mate. Like, I completely agree with you. I think Ben White will be a very good signing for Arsenal. And I think what's interesting, as you say, the Saliba stuff, I feel sorry for Arsenal fans on Saliba, because I feel like I get everything you've said about not being Arteta's guy. I also just don't think he's as good as people are making out that he is. Like, it's not as if I'm going to sound harsh. It's the lower end French clubs that want him. It isn't even like PSG is saying, Arsenal fucked up one of our new up and coming superstar centre backs. Let's sign him in. They haven't. No big club in Europe is chasing him. If do you get where I'm coming from? This isn't like Chelsea messing up with KDB. And even then with KDB, nobody was still sure because Wolfsburg came in, nobody else. It's one of those things. And look, you could end up with a little bit of egg on your face if Saliba goes away and becomes one of the best centre-backs in the world. The problem that you've got at Arsenal, though, is if he's looking really bad, imagine you start playing him and he starts costing you games. Then what? Like, the fans don't have the patience. Fans pretend they have patience, but fans don't have any patience. So I think they've got to make this decision. I think Ben White, he had a good season in the Prem last year. Two managers that the whole of the Premier League rates and loves in Bielsa and Jurgen Klopp have scouted him and wanted him for years. For me, I think it's, yes, £50 million is a lot of money. But at the end of the day, all transfers are expensive now. What was Tyrone Mings? Nearly 30 million? Do you know what I mean? So the envelope's been pushed. I don't really think anybody could have any complaints about that.
And that's the thing as well. And I think people had this mindset of it's going to be Saliba and Gabriel next year. That's going to be it. Like, we're going to be sorted, and our defense is going to be fine next year. You're talking about sort of one very inexperienced guy in Saliba, who's not played many games at this sort of level, to be thrown in there. I wouldn't have trusted it personally for the whole season. Like it could be something that works over time. But I'm much rather happy Ben White being the main centre back with Gabriel than Saliba next year. As I said, I would love to have him as a backup, but I wouldn't have had him first team. And then you get the issue, if you do keep him, it's like, well, why aren't you playing him? You kept him, you didn't sell him, you didn't loan him out, you've not played him. So, like, if we'd done that, what I would have suggested as being him being second choice, he doesn't get any games. And then how does he develop? Do you know what I mean? It's like, and obviously I think he comes back and he's got 2 years left on his deal. And then you make a decision. For me, then you decide to say, right, he's had 2 years out on loan. We've watched him in France for 2 years. How good is he really? Is it time to now sell Rob Holding and make this guy, another one of our centre backs?
Yeah, but, and as Ornstein said in his thing last night, So again, I've read something that there might be an obligation option to buy in there. Ornstein's pretty much saying that isn't the case, which is fair. But he's saying Saliba is still part of the long-term thinking. I've got to be honest. I just don't think it. The reason I say I don't think he is because players, just generally speaking, I need to do the research on it, but I can't think of many players that have been loaned out for, especially more than one season, who ever come back to make it at clubs. And there's very few. It's a very small amount. Like Mason Mount's done that at Chelsea. Reece James is currently doing that at Chelsea. I mean, can you think of any Arsenal players that were loaned out for a couple of seasons who you would say nailed it and made it?
Not off the top of my head, no. Smith Rowe had one, but not two.
Yes, Smith Rowe had one. He's doing well. It is rare, brother. And that's my point to people. It's like, I just say to Arsenal fans, don't drink the Kool-Aid on this. Like, there's something like, do you get where I'm coming from? It's
yeah.
Something about that, but he's still part of the long-term plans. Is he really?
I think from Arsenal's point of view, you've got to tell him that so that he believes that there's a chance to make it. So if you just say to him, you know what, we'll send you to Marseille, we're not quite sure about your future, he's maybe not necessarily going to go and try and kill it. If he kills it next year, there's an opportunity to say, you know what, fair enough, but we've sold him the dream that there could be a long-term plan. And I think there's some people annoyed with Arteta because Arteta said at the end of last season, Saliba will be here next year and Saliba will be a player that I want to keep going forward. These are the things you've got to kind of sell to keep these players going.
This is the thing. People have got to understand that there are certain things that you have to say. Like, like when Man United Man United don't want Lingard anymore. They don't want him, right?
Yeah.
You put it bluntly.
Yeah.
But they're thinking of giving him a new deal. You know me, bruv. I know the financial side of these things. It's like, yeah, of course. If he stays and no one buys him, they'll give him a new deal to protect the commodity of him. He won't pay rise, but they'll protect the commodity of him, right? Because they want to be able to sell him and make some of their money back. Of course, you have to say that Saliba is part of our plans next year. Because what message does it send to say that he isn't? But you have to look at the point of view of, as soon as you started looking at Ben White, that should be the alarm going off in your head. If Saliba genuinely this kid that you all think is going to tear it up, you don't know to do it. Like right now, right? Look at Chelsea. Look at Chelsea. Now, isn't an academy player or a young player, but why are they looking at a striker? They can't sell to Chelsea fans that they still 100% believe in Werner as their number 9, whilst thinking about dropping 130 million pounds on Haaland. You can't, but they're going to say it. If you were to sit down with Tuchel now and say, "Oh, is Werner's future over?" He'll say, "No, he's a massive part of our plans. If you rate him, he's going to be brilliant. He's going to be amazing. Why are you looking at Haaland? Well, why not have 2 options?" Of course, that's how they're going to say it. But read between the fucking lines and stop being sheep. Oh, a really popular journalist said it, so it must be true. Think for your fucking self.
Exactly. Me
up.
And sorry, just to go back on the Ben White thing that you were saying earlier with the money sort of thing. And then you mentioned about sort of Maguire and Van Dijk sort of prices, and obviously 50 mil for Ben White. It even like first hearing about it, sounds a lot. It does sound like a lot of money, but you also have to think English and the potential to be the next English centre back. That's just money. That's all it is straight away. Money. Gareth Southgate said he really loved Ben White. Ben White was chosen for England. No one was happy. Everyone wanted Ward-Prowse or Lingard to come into the squad when Trent got injured, and Gareth Southgate chose Ben White. That should make people think, actually, do you know what? He's going to be a future England player because the current manager, England manager, loves him and wants him as part of the squad. You got to kind of already start looking. He's 23. He's the next sort of generation coming up to be the England centre back. That sort of money, if you think about back in the days of like young Rio Ferdinands and Terrys and Sol Campbells, and like they were the next up and coming centre back. So money was being thrown at them to say, okay, you might not make it, but the manager loves you. The English manager loves you. Even when Rio was at Leeds, they were talking about him as being the next English centre back. So it's like we'll give him the money because he looks like he could be the future of England. And for Arsenal, that's massive.
And of course, and you have to understand as well, right? The money. Someone here says Terry definitely has anger issues. No, bro, I'm cool, bro. Do you know what I get annoyed about? Do you know what I get angry about? I get angry about seeing people not using and engaging their own brains. Like I literally saw one of the most credible journalists in the world the other day talk about a transfer story, and all the responses underneath it were like, "Well, what does this journalist think?" And I'm like, It's not about what that. It's about what do you think?
Yeah.
What do
Use your brain.
you think? Use your brain. And that's the thing for me. Use your head. Think for yourself sometimes. Have an opinion. Do you know, I see a lot of this. Sometimes you can ask questions on Twitter. You can be like, oh, what do you all think of this? But the amount of times I see people like, oh, I'm going to say that it's a disgrace that we're loaning out Saliba because most Arsenal fans want him to be a success and that's going to get me attention. Why don't you just put out the difficult point? Do you actually think Saliba's good enough? 3 years on the bounce, he's been loaned out. Is there not a message there? Is there not a message there? My view is this. If they think that he has got minerals, give him 6 months and then loan him out if he ain't good enough. They won't even let him kick a ball. Come on. Wise up. Wise up, people. Wise up. I'm not even trying to be rude about him. He's got potential, but I don't know here. Marble Hall says, I don't know about Saliba. He has potential. I mean, they've done well in France. He has. But 3 years, he ain't kicked the ball for Arsenal. He's got a 5-year. He goes into. I mean, but by the end of this year, you've got to start contract renewal talks with him. He ain't played for you. Like, wake up, smell that coffee, Rams, mate. Always a pleasure to speak to you, my brother. I'll speak to you again soon, top man, and come on the England. Come on the England. Go on the England.
Big win today.
Yes, mate. Speak to you soon, top man. Of course, that's Ramzy there from Neek Sports in the house. We've got James backstage. Arsenal fan James. We've got Mr. Anthony. We've got CFC chats. But I'm going to go to Kai first of all, who is a very hard-hitting, very direct, silver-tongued Chelsea fan in the house. What you saying, Kai? Good to have you back on, bro.
Hey, Terry. How are you?
I'm good. My nation's playing today. I'm going to literally finish this stream. And once it goes past 11 o'clock, I'm on the drink, mate. So I'm going to have a great day.
Yeah, I feel you, man. England has to win, man. Just for the sake of my ex having tears, you know. So you guys have to do it, bro. But anyway, bro, about first of all, let's talk about Arsenal, man. How the mighty has fallen, man. Ben White, England's 4th choice defender, man. I feel honestly at this point I feel bad for Arsenal, but Chelsea aren't doing any better with the transfers, man. I am tired of this. First of all, I want to talk about Chelsea fans hating on Sancho, all that crap, the fake that, I never wanted him. I never wanted Sancho. He can't even start for England. Cho isn't even playing for England, man. The guy is in Ghana doing an African trip, man. So I don't understand, how does Chelsea fans have that the capacity to be able to banter Sancho and be disrespectful to the kid who's, for me, is one of the best wingers in the world, and kudos to United for having him, man. But to Chelsea, I'm at the point where I'm starting to worry, because I think Marina's doing the same thing that she's doing. She does every time we win a major trophy, and to Arsenal fans, the FA Cup is not a major trophy. So every time every time we win a major trophy, Chelsea just take their foot off the gas and they don't build on that. They did it with the Antonio Conte, they did it with Mourinho, and now they're doing it with Tuchel. I see us linked to Traore, and Chelsea fans, it's a good deal. It's only 20 million. And that what happens, man, when people are not don't understand PR. They start thinking everything is fine, and they're looking at things. We'll get Sancho, we'll get to whoever the fuck it is. But the reality is, Chelsea need to make signing. They need a striker. If we go into next season with that kid Isaac from Real Sociedad, I swear to God, Terry, I'm gonna stop watching. Okay, I'm not gonna stop watching football. I'm not gonna be sad watching football, man. Because Chelsea needs a Haaland. They need a Lukaku. They need a marquee striker. For me, it's alarming that Chelsea only had 2 good strikers in the Roman era. Okay, we can add Anelka, so 3. But other than that, man, it's.
Do you not see yourself signing the sort of the Haalands or the big players are after, the Haalands or the Declan Rices? Do you not see those deals happening?
I literally don't want Declan Rice anywhere near my club, man. Especially if Lokonia is half that fucking price. But that's not my point. My point is, because I know how difficult it is to negotiate with Dortmund, because they're very, very, very stubborn side, especially since you guys kind of fucked us over and got Sancho. So their need for money is less than it was before the window, and a lot of people seem to not consider that as well. From a business point of view, Dortmund are very number based, and if we're just gonna be at the end of the window, we just start talking to them okay, I want Haaland now. They're gonna be okay, but we want this price, because now our negotiation tactic is weaker because they already had a bit of money, recuperate from Sancho. So I don't know. I can see us at the end of the day going to a Zappa Costa drink water window where we just like panic at the end of the window. Oh shit, we don't have anybody. We need a striker, so we're gonna go for somebody like Luka Jovic or whatever. Which for me, Chelsea should stay away from it. Should really, really stay away from it.
I hear you on that. I do hear the sort of concern. What I would say though, mate, is the Euros have slowed so much. You've got to think about this. The only club who have done a big deal so far this summer have been Man United with Sancho, and we started and did a lot of that work last year. A report today that the majority of this fee was actually agreed back in December. So it's no one's done anything yet, and I think there's almost this element of I think there's a wait and see aspect going on, because I actually feel like if City don't sign any of their big targets this summer, if they don't get Grealish or Kane, just saying, I don't think there'll be as hard a push from Chelsea to land a Haaland. But I feel like if that, do you get? I almost feel like teams are sort of looking at and waiting. If Mbappe makes his move to Real Madrid, that could stimulate stuff in the market because money starts moving around. In terms of Arsenal signing Ben White, though, what do you make? Do you think it's a good signing for the Gunners?
I think that's what their level is now. I think like when I see Arsenal fans being like, "Oh yeah, I'm happy with the signing," it just shows you where they've fallen. I'm not saying Ben White is not a good player. He is, but when you think about the level that you and I grew up with Arsenal, being Arsenal, like the level of players they used to have, and now going for somebody who can barely start for England, for me it's a bit. I mean, if he turned out to be good, I think it's good because I do think he has a lot of talent, but as far as their level, I think Arsenal fans are to the point where they're starting to accept, like if you remember Everton in the beginning of the 90s, it's the same thing. They begin to accept that the fact that that's their level, which to me, if I was an Arsenal fan, I would be scared of.
I hear you on that. Listen, Kai, thanks for coming on, mate, and having your say.
Yeah,
really
no worries,
appreciate it,
guys.
bro. Speak to you
Take
again,
care.
top man. Thank you. Do me a favor and smash that like button. Listen, remember, I know you don't always appreciate a lot. Some of you enjoying Kai's point, some of you not. This is the Football Terrace, no echo chambers. Anyone can phone up, anyone can have their say, anyone can tell us what they think. The only YouTube channel that allows its viewers every single day to actually have an opinion, to actually express themselves. Think about that and deep that for a second. Next on the show, James is here. What you saying, bro? James is a gooner. Ben White, Imminent. Give me your thoughts, mate.
Yeah, I'm happy. I was, to be honest, after seeing the Everton news with apparently Rafa Benitez wanting Ben White, it just gave me a bit of Buendia vibes. But then I saw the source and I'm like, okay, it's not really a source that I would trust. But yeah, for me, I don't know what was the name of the fella that was on just before me? What was his name?
Kai.
So obviously Kai's saying we're signing England's fourth choice centre back. He thinks he's good, but he's saying we've downgraded. I mean, if you think about it, Foden started for England on the right wing, Saka started for England on the right wing, and now Sancho looks like he's going to be playing. By that logic, Sancho's England's third choice winger, right? But we know Sancho is quality. And for me, I don't think Arsenal were clearly not at the levels where we used to be. We're not in the 90s, the 2000s with the Invincibles, right? But he's saying we're signing people of a lower level. And for me, you see a lot of our players that we did sign during the Arsene Wenger era. Nobody knew a lot of our players like Aboué, Kolo Touré, like these players that we signed were of a risk potential signing. Obviously, they're not the equity we're putting in for Ben White, but you can see the potential here. You saw the potential with Rio Ferdinand when you bought him. It was a very expensive signing for a young centre-back, and you saw how he's done. Arguably one of England's best ever centre-backs. And for me, he's probably my favourite centre-back I've ever seen play. He's just quality. And yeah, I mean, for me, the Ben White deal, yes, there's risk associated with it, but it's a risk we need to attract. There's mentions of Jules Koundé, the young German centre-back from Bayer Leverkusen, Tapsoba. These players are 60 to 70 million. And for me, as you said, we don't really know who we can attract. And for a young English centre-back that's prem-proven, has got experience, I think it's a risk worth taking. And for me, I only see upside. If he flops, then I hold my hands up. It's a bad signing. But for me, I just see the positives in it.
Yeah, I think people are just... We've gone through this little era in football at the minute where, depending on your passport, you get judged differently. The sort of vanilla, no sauce. I mean, Ben White has it even worse because he's got such a boring name as well. Do you know what I mean? Ben White is. Do you know what I mean? like, I got a French. I'm English, but I got a French surname, so it sounds a little bit better. Do you know what I mean? It's just, I think and it's social media that's doing this. We're kind of, there's this era at the moment where if something isn't, Twitter's become just a place about fashion. It's tweeting fashionable opinions. What, you know, everything's about saying or doing the right thing, from the clothes you wear to what you tweet to your opinions. The maddest thing is, right, there's someone, I'm going to be very careful how I say this. There's someone that I know quite well, met through socials, been on the terrace, they've got their own channel, do their things. How they tweet and things they say on socials, and then how they are privately, are almost two completely different people. Now, everyone's a little bit different publicly to how they are privately, and that's fairly normal. But I'm talking like chalk and cheese differences, and it's because people just do that. Like, I'm seeing a lot of Arsenal fans like kick off about the Saliba situation, and I'm thinking, but do you really think Saliba's that good? Like, do you actually believe that, or are you saying it because it's a popular opinion? And not every. I just want to understand. And also, I think if Ben White, you know, was Pau Torres, nobody would have an issue. I was comparing him to Pau Torres earlier. Defensive duels per game, right? So Ben White, 6.5 defensive duels per game, wins 70%. 4 per game from Pau Torres wins the same. Aerial duels by Pau Torres wins 50%. 50% won by Ben White. Loose balls won by Pau Torres. 58%. That is actually a lot better than Ben White. That's at 46%. But tackle succession rate, okay, only at 33% for Pau Torres, 63% for Ben White. Interceptions per game, nearly 6 per game for Ben White. Losses of possession per game, this is astronomically good at 4, with only 40% being in his own half. He's a very good defender statistically as well. And I honestly think if his name was Bengardino Vite, right? Would go, oh, if he was Jules Koundé and he was paying an extra 20-30 million, everyone would be buzzing. He's very, very talented. I just don't get the disrespect towards Ben White. It's crazy.
I think for me, I'm worried about it, because you can see that, I know Twitter doesn't represent the fan bases, especially for different clubs, but it gives you an insight into how specific fan bases feel. And people are judging Ben White on the price tag, but they're also comparing him to Saliba. So for me, he's already coming in with 2 massive things over his head. Yes, he's going to cost 50 million, and he's stifling the development of William Saliba. So I think people aren't going to give him a fair chance off the bat. And as I've seen you been tweeting recently, is William Saliba that good to like Babs and other people, right? People, I think, are putting William Saliba on a pedestal because he's been called the Mbappe of centre-backs, because he was trained by Mbappe's dad as a kid. He came for 27 million and he's highly rated, right? But from what we've seen, he had a hit-and-miss season at St. Etienne when we bought him, and then only came back short because of COVID the second season at St. Etienne. And then he had a good 6 months. For me, I would have liked to have seen him being loaned to a Prem club, because then that shows me a bit more, okay, look, he wants to integrate into the Arsenal squad. But for me, from what we've seen in David Ornstein reports and other reliable journalists, he chose Olympique Marseille. And I'm in the same with you, is he's going back to what he's comfortable with. And for me, that indicates that, yes, David Ornstein said he's part of the plan. But if you read between the lines, for me, he's going to spend 1 season in Marseille. He's either going to do good and he's going to be sold for a higher price, or he's going to do bad and he's going to be sold for a lower price. For me, I just see him being sold because, as you said, we wouldn't be linked to a £50 million centre-back when we spent 30 million quid on a 18-year-old centre-back, which was meant to be the next big thing. And then we're going to say, look, they're going to be playing side by side. They might be, but for me, everything indicates Saliba's going.
I just can't. It's I suppose to say win-win is probably the wrong way. Look, if he kills it at Olympique Marseille and then the whole world's like buzzing over him, then he'll come back into the team. But at the same time, you know, if Ben White and Gabriel develop a really good relationship this year, why would you want to break that up? So it becomes a double-edged sword for Arsenal fans. You want Saliba to do well and come back in, but you also want Ben White and Gabriel to work, right? And if they work, why would you break something that isn't broken? I just don't think you'd be dropping £50 million, as you say, on another centre-back if there was a true belief, a almost a cast-iron guarantee that Saliba was the guy. And I also don't think you'd be loaning him back out straight away. I also think you would be saying, right, let's do 6 months, play in the League Cup games. You know, you'll play when we play 3 at the back at times because you've got to test him. The point is, he could spend the next 3 years, 4 years, 5 years on loan until he kicks the ball in the Prem.
Yeah,
you're never going to know how good he is.
No,
and they wouldn't even give him, like last season when he was in the squad. Because I think he went out on loan. Was it like January time he went out?
Yeah.
Like he didn't even play in like pony Europa League games or League Cup games, and that for me was like there's something wrong. There's something wrong.
I mean, yeah, you've seen what we saw with him in the Community Shield when he played against Liverpool, because that's genuinely the only, if you can call it competitive, that's the only game we've seen him in an Arsenal shirt. That's not even pre-seasons, and then the rest of from September to January he's spent in the under-23s playing in the whatever the Youth Premier League setup is. And from all accounts, I'm going to be honest, I didn't watch him because I don't watch the young kids play. It's just, for me, it's not really that entertaining. By all accounts, he wasn't actually that good at that level. Like, he was making a lot of errors at the under-23. So I don't know what it is. We obviously don't know what's going on within Arsenal Football Club, and we can only judge from an outside perspective. But there's so many holes and there's so many red flags in this whole transfer. I can't really make sense of it. And for me, signing Ben White is, it's just, I don't know. It's that's the
you sit there, red flags. That's it. Like, like when you first start, you might start seeing someone new. Like, there's a little advice to young ladies and young men watching. If you start dating someone new and they can't answer their phone in the evenings, it's a red flag. Do you know what I mean? If it's like, I'm out with my friends tonight, but I'll come see you afterwards, can't see you before it, red flag. If it's, oh no, I can't go, no, go cinema, so go out for a drink. Yeah, but I don't want to go out in the town that I'm from. That's a red flag. Like, there are little things that go off in your head where you're like, there's something seems off about this. Then we get a phone call and it's like, hello, it's the tax man. You haven't paid your tax this month. You need to give us your bank details. A red flag goes off in your head. When you get an email saying, listen, I'm the prince of a particular country. I need you to help me. I've lost my bank account. There's a red flag. Like, all these things are red flags. Like, you know what I mean? There's no such thing as a free lunch. And at the end of the day, like, there's just something here that Arsenal fans have to, it's about reading between the lines and not taking everything you see literally as being the truth. But as you say, when something's popular, when something is fashionable, when something is what's in vogue with fans, it's everybody seems to want to toe the party line. Even some of the journalists, it's like, I'm like, why are you not giving an honest, harsh opinion on this? I'll tell you why. Because you don't want to damage your base. You don't want to damage, it's political. You don't want to damage your base audience who want it to be positive at this moment in time. And I just can't do, I just can't do that fakeness. Listen, James, thank you very much for coming on, mate, and having you on. I really appreciate it, buddy. Thank you. Benjamin from 50. Oh, okay. Benjamin Blick for 50 million sounds so different. It does. Terry Arsenal never been by the best. We made the best. I hear you, JJ. I hear you on that one. Listen, I know there's quite a few of you still backstage, but I do have to go now. I've got to go look after the kids for a bit. So I'm very, very sorry, gents. I can see you all backstage. I'm very, very sorry indeed. Everyone who's tuned in today, a massive thank you to all of you. We're back live after the quarterfinals later on today. England are playing. I'm going to go and I'm not having a drink as early as 11 o'clock. I've got to look after the kids. I never drink when I'm looking after the kids. But I'm going to go and do a bit of prep for the food this afternoon. The meat's been marinating all night. Yes, man uses spices. Man uses seasoning. Do you know what I mean? This is shock horror, not just lemon and herb. Listen, until next time, take care.